Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. You're about to listen to a historical episode of Dark Poutine. After episode 149, you will find Scott is no longer with the show. In an effort to maintain continuity and offer listeners as many episodes as possible, we are leaving the episodes in which he co-hosted intact. Thank you. Welcome to Dark Poutine. I'm Mike Brown, creator and host. With me, as usual, is my good friend and co-host, Scott Hemingway. Say hello, Scott.
How do you find, ladies and gentlemen?
Fine, ladies
and gentlemen.
And gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm trying to be more regal in this episode.
Regal?
Yeah. Pip, pip. Tally-ho.
Oh, you're a Brit.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Is that because there's another British baby? Do you follow the royals at all?
No, but I have been made aware, thanks to TV, of this birth.
The televisal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just shave your head, William.
All right, let's get to it. Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish, as our content contains mature themes, harsh language, and graphic descriptions of violent crimes. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not journalists or experts on any of the topics we present. We're just two regular Canadians who are interested in the dark side of Canada and Canadian history.
Yeah, irregular Canadians even.
Regular. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some dark poutine. Welcome to episode 24 of Dark Poutine. It's springtime outside. It was warm here today. Holy crap.
God, we got up to 29 according to my car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
That is very, very warm.
Windows down.
29 Celsius for you folks. I think sometimes Americans think we're Fahrenheit up here, and so
it's probably how we get the reputation of being all like, Canada's just all ice. It's probably because of that.
Maybe
conversion.
It could be.
Because we're like, oh, it's 29, how great up here. And they're like, wait, isn't that like below freezing?
Yeah.
I just figured we just solved that.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay, then we can end this podcast here.
Yeah, we've made the change.
All the world's problems.
We've made the change we set out to do.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, but what is one thing you really like on a warm summer day? What do you like to do?
What do I like to do?
Yeah, what if you had to have your choice of drink or anything like that? Would it?
Oh, I'm pretty generic in that sense. I would love just the beach and root beer.
A root beer.
Yeah.
What about a milkshake?
Oh God, yeah, they bring all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, where do you usually get your favorite milkshake here?
Well, there's actually a really good, I can't remember the name of it, but a really good malt shop. I actually have or soda shop in Vancouver.
Oh, Burns, the one on
Hastings.
Hastings.
Yeah, they get great milkshakes there. But I love White Spots milkshakes. Yeah.
White Spots milkshakes actually play an interesting part. In this podcast.
Wow.
Specifically, vanilla White Spot milkshakes.
Yeah, nope, not a vanilla guy.
Not a vanilla guy?
It's just it's plain, man.
You just don't dig it, or
I'm okay with vanilla ice cream, vanilla anything, but it's not. I have never in my life been like I choose vanilla. It was always like, oh, at somebody's house they got vanilla.
Yeah.
You know, it's plain, man. It's plain. Let's mix it up a bit.
Mix it up a little bit.
Let's throw some strawberries in there.
I kind of like just plain old vanilla.
Yep, that makes sense.
Up yours. All right. Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one this week. It brings us right back home here to Vancouver in the mid-1960s. As the strange crime was committed by a local radio personality. The subsequent arrest and trial were big news here. And this guy's name was Rene Castellani. And we're calling him the Milkshake Murderer.
Oh, interesting.
And I got that from a book called Dead Ends, BC Crime Stories by Paul Wilcox. Rene worked for CKNW in 1965. After years of struggling financially, he finally sort of hit the job that he really, really dug, which was being a promo man for CKNW, which was kind of the big radio station of the day.
Yeah,
in the 60s.
Though even it lasted until until radio started to swing down, but it was like it was the premier news station. I used to listen to it constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it still is a talk radio station here, but it doesn't have the cachet that it used to.
Radio doesn't.
Radio does not. It's now more for podcasting. Let's be podcasters, Scott.
That's what I'm talking about. I think we're being them.
We are.
Woohoo!
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can still hear CKNW at 980 on the AM dial. I've always wanted to say that. Like, I always wanted to be in radio when I was a kid. And so, hey, you can hear CKNW at 980 on the AM dial.
You would have made a killing back in the day.
Do you think?
I'm telling you. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you would have made a killing.
Yeah, well, I tried to get a job at the radio station in my hometown, just being like a schmo around there, just, picking up junk and stuff like that around there. But they didn't want me.
Jerks.
Yeah.
Now look at you.
Yeah, now look at me.
Soon to be unemployed.
Soon to be unemployed. Only two more days. When this podcast releases, I will be unemployed.
Oh, sweet, glorious, glorious unemployment.
Yeah, so back to our story. Sure. Rene Castellani was well known for his crazy stunts. He would wear like a gorilla outfit and things like that. He did all kinds of things like that to draw attention to CKNW and their advertisers.
Oh, okay.
He played many on-air pranks that earned him the nickname the Dizzy Dialer.
Oh, jeebs.
The Dizzy Dialer. One of his more memorable capers was trying to convince listeners that a wealthy Middle Eastern Maharaja was attempting to buy all of British Columbia.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
And so Eve Lazarus wrote a little bit about it on her website. Castellani went so far as to take out ads on bus boards. He stayed at the Western Bayshore, dressed as an Indian prince, and rode around in limousines with bodyguards and an entourage of dancing girls. That sounds fun.
I'm sold.
So effective was the campaign that outraged locals, also known as racists, made up signs shouting, "Keep BC British."
Oh, geez.
What pieces of garbage.
I mean, it's somewhat to be expected in the 60s, but still.
Hashtag white folks.
Still balls.
Oh, yeah. Rene Emile Castellani married Esther on July 16th, 1946. The couple lived with their 12-year-old daughter, Janine, in a duplex at 2092 West 42nd Avenue in 1965. And this is in Vancouver's Kerrisdale neighborhood.
Very nice area, very affluent.
Yeah, it wasn't as affluent at the time. It was just a regular middle class neighborhood at the time. But now to actually purchase a home there, you're looking at $3 to $4 million.
Yeah, a couple beans, which in Vancouver isn't ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's a shack essentially that's ready to fall down that you have to pay $1 million for.
Exactly.
Esther was the manager of a children's clothing store, and she really enjoyed her work. And by all accounts, they were a relatively happy couple. That is, until early in 1965, the phone rang one night, very late. A woman's voice asked Esther, "Do you know your husband is going around with someone else?"
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And when Esther wanted to know more, the woman hung up. Esther didn't tell Rene about the phone call, but she did become suspicious. The mystery caller had obviously put a bug in her ear.
Yeah, well, that'll happen.
Yeah.
You'll get somebody calls to say, hey, your husband's doing this. You're going to a little head scratcher there.
So Esther began snooping around in Rene's pockets when he was out of the room, and she found a love note in his wallet signed Lolly.
Oh.
Lollipop or lollygag?
Or both.
Yep, could be. Lolly, it turns out, was the nickname of a recently widowed single mother of a 6-year-old son. Her name was Adelaide Ann Miller. Miller was a receptionist at CKNW.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, she and Rene had actually begun seeing each other in the fall of 1964.
Oh.
It was obvious to coworkers that they were seeing each other. They were very affectionate at work. They all knew what Castellani was up to with the much younger Ms. Miller.
Mm-hmm.
The caller might have been a jealous coworker or even Miller herself trying to cause a breakup so she could have Rene all to herself.
Yeah,
you never know.
Makes sense.
Esther confronted Rene and he denied being unfaithful to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was right around this time that Esther began feeling unwell.
Oh.
Yeah. Esther began suffering racking pain from stomach aches and horrific back pain.
Oh, somebody got the Ebola.
Maybe. Nausea and diarrhea were Esther's constant unwelcome guests. She began experiencing weakness and tingling in her limbs to go along with the vomiting and excruciating pain.
Sounds rough.
It does sound very rough. She could barely lift a book to read and was missing lots of work. Esther struggled to keep any food down. Thank goodness Rene was bringing her yummy white spot milkshakes with him on the way home from work every day.
No, they are good.
Well, they are really good. And if you're feeling sick, like a white spot milkshake would probably hit the spot.
Yeah.
Those milkshakes were one of the only foods that Esther could manage at the time. Esther was worried. Rene claimed he was too. Esther started going to doctors who were baffled by her condition, admitting her to hospital on several occasions. She was tested for everything from cancer, thyroid problems, odd infections, and gallbladder issues. Nothing. They couldn't find a thing. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. In May of 1965, Lolly Miller was ousted by CKNW.
Oh.
The affair that she and Rene were having had become too much of a distraction in the station, and Lolly was the problem, so out she went.
Yeah, classic 60s move.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rene got to stay and carry on his role, of course, because he's a man.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I wrote here, if you're wondering why her and not him, you might want to check out the TV show Mad Men for a bit of insight into the office world of the 60s.
Exactly.
Especially regarding gender equality in the workplace. Yep, just give her a slap on the ass and send her on her way.
That's right. It's so sad. God, I hate that. I hate misogyny.
Her being fired did not cool the affair, and Esther continued to get sicker. In June of 1965, Rene undertook another memorable stunt for CKNW. This time he partnered with Bowl McLean, or Bomac, a car dealership on West Broadway.
I remember that one.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that in a big way. The sales manager at the time was none other than Jim Pattison, a man who would one day become BC's richest man, worth over $5 billion.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about Jimmy later.
He can actually afford a house in Vancouver.
Yes, he can. A number of them.
Yeah.
He can afford a building if he wants.
Whoa.
And I think he owns a few.
He does.
The Bomac car dealership was well known for its huge sign.
Yep.
It still stands there today as a heritage site as long as Toys R Us, the current tenant at 1154 West Broadway, remains.
Quick story about that sign.
Yep.
My dad used to live near there, and that's actually how I knew when I was a kid to pull the buzzer on the bell on the bus when I would see the Bomac sign.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it was always that indicator. Oh, this is where I get off.
Right, because you couldn't determine an address.
It was like the 70s. I was like 8.
That's no excuse.
It's true.
From Vancouver's Heritage Society's Flickr photo of the sign, the Bomac sign was constructed in 1958 on West Broadway, which was Vancouver's Auto Row at the time. A number of car dealers, notably Dueck and Dealey dealerships, had begun erecting a number of increasingly large signs to attract attention. The Bomac dealership countered with a 29-meter or 80-foot-high orange sign illuminated with red, neon, and hundreds of flashing light bulbs. The background was repainted to the current red and blue colors.
Yes, it was quite noticeable.
Very much so. Castellani's idea was to live and broadcast from a car high atop the sign until every single vehicle on the Bomac lot was sold. Esther Castellani was in the hospital just blocks away in Vancouver Hospital when Rene took to his perch high above the city on the Bomac sign. That would have been a weird sight to see some dude sitting up there.
What year was this?
1965.
Oh, okay. I don't remember then. I was going to say, I wonder if I drove past. But, yeah.
The promo was a success. It took 8 days, and all the cars in the lot had been sold. So Rene could come down. He returned to his daily milkshake deliveries to Esther, who was obviously fading, and all her doctors, including internal medicine specialist Dr. Moskovich, still had no idea what was ailing her. Medical staff noted that Rene seemed impatient when talking to them about Esther, who was obviously dying. He asked how long it would take before she was gone.
It's not sounding overly empathetic.
Well, his strange questions were shrugged off as those of a husband who didn't want to watch his wife suffering any longer.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, later on, we find it wasn't that.
Yeah.
From a New York Daily News article, when his mother-in-law asked Castellani if he had theories about Esther's failing health, he replied, I can't believe he said this, but this is what they say he said, "When a house burns down, I don't look for a fire, I look around to build a new one."
Oh, whoa. What a dick.
Right?
Jeez.
So your wife is sick in the hospital.
It's just, hey, it's just time to look for a new one.
Yeah, that house is on fire. I'm just going to walk away from it.
Yeah.
Holy guacamole.
What a dildo.
I guess.
Oh, man.
Yep. And that's what he was up to. Rene was not so secretly building a new life with Lolly Miller. On July 11th, 1965, Esther Castellani died. 5 days before her wedding anniversary with Rene, it would have been their 19th.
Oh, shit.
Rene arrived at the hospital that day, vanilla milkshake in hand, and he was apparently wearing his gorilla outfit.
Really?
Yep. When he was told of Esther's death, he immediately went to the washroom and dumped the milkshake into the toilet. He flushed twice.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess we don't need this milkshake then.
Yeah. Like what? It was the 60s. What did he think they were going to, like, I don't think they had, like, technology to immediately, let's look into this milkshake to see if this is.
Well, they did.
Really?
But not right away. Yeah. An autopsy was performed the next day. The medical examiner attributed the death to heart failure and a viral infection of unknown origin.
Huh.
On July 14th, a funeral was held for Esther Castellani. She and her casket were put into a concrete crypt at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Burnaby. So she's not buried. She's just in a crypt.
Yes, that's the one. I believe that's the one in the cemetery off Royal Oak, I believe.
It could be. I don't know for sure. I think you might be right. Yeah, it's the one on the hill there.
Yeah, I've attended a funeral there.
Only 2 days after Esther's burial, the radio station paid for an impromptu vacation to Disneyland for Rene and his daughter Janine. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Rene took Lolly and her son along, too.
Yeah. Like, give it some time, maybe?
Yeah.
No? Like, Jesus.
2 days. 2 days is long enough. I mean, she's gone. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, your house is burning down.
Build a new one.
That's right.
On July 28th, while his wife was in her crypt only 2 weeks, Lolly and Rene went house shopping and applied for a mortgage for a new home.
Holy shit.
Not suspicious at all.
Oh.
The fact that Esther, a relatively healthy 40-year-old, had passed away from organ failure haunted Dr. Bernard Moskovich.
Yeah.
He was their internist that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
The autopsy results didn't seem to match what he had seen.
Mm-hmm.
He decided he would have some samples of Esther's tissues tested for anomalies. Perhaps she'd ingested something. It would take a few weeks for the results, but he had to know if he'd missed something. Moskovich's suspicions were realized. He was horrified by the results of the toxicology tests. Esther's tissues had huge amounts of arsenic in them, hundreds of times the expected levels.
Apparently, the 60s had better technology than I had assumed. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a terrible amount of arsenic.
It is. It was like 1,500 times I read in one spot. Moskovich took his findings to police immediately. On August 3rd, after a search warrant had been obtained, Esther's body was exhumed and another, more thorough autopsy was performed. Sure enough, the evidence was there indicating that the organ failure had been due to arsenic poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, police issued a search warrant at Rene Castellani's home. There, they found an almost empty can of Triox Ortho, a liquid weed killer under the sink in the kitchen, and this was taken into evidence. More tissue samples were taken, and samples of Esther's hair were sent off for analysis by forensic scientist Norm Erickson in Toronto. They used the hair to determine when Esther had been poisoned. Interestingly, the portion of hair matching the 10 days that Rene was atop the Bomac sign showed little signs of the poison.
Yeah. Wow, you don't say.
I wonder what was going on.
That doesn't link anything.
No. It also showed that the poisoning had resumed after Rene's return.
What a coincidence.
The science pointed to the triox orthos that cops had found under the sink. In spring of 1966, Rene and Lolly were planning on getting married. The cops and Crown prosecutors had other plans.
Good.
Rene was arrested and charged with the first-degree murder of his wife, Esther. At the time, this was a capital offense in Canada, punishable by hanging.
Wow.
Yeah, 1965. Even in the light of all the evidence, Rene pled not guilty and the case went to trial. He maintained his innocence all the way through.
Yeah, not the first killer to ever do that.
Nope. The trial began on 26th of September, 1967, and got a lot of local attention. You can imagine.
Yeah.
The evidence was pretty salacious: an affair, arsenic poisoning via milkshakes.
And a celebrity of the time.
Yeah, exactly. A radio celebrity.
Yeah.
Esther's physician, Dr. Moscovich, said he missed arsenic poisoning, as did all the other medical experts who saw Esther in her illness. Moscovich said, the possibility of arsenic never occurred to us at all. Well,
why would it really?
Yeah. Mrs. Castellani had been subjected to more than 125 tests, but none of them would have turned up arsenic poisoning. Poor woman.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of suffering to go through.
Absolutely. Cruel bastard.
Yeah.
There were at least 47 prosecution witnesses, according to an interview given by Rene's defense attorney. They included expert witnesses, some of whom were flown in from Los Angeles, Toronto, and in 2 instances from the UK,
Wow.
all to talk about the science used to prove Mrs. Castellani had been murdered, how she'd been killed, and that her unfaithful husband, Rene, had been the one who done it. Rene stuck to his guns, testifying briefly. When asked outright, had he killed his wife, by his lawyer, he looked directly at the jury and spoke one word: no. Yeah, the jury didn't believe him. They felt the prosecution had proved the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Rene Emile Castellani was found guilty of the crime of first-degree murder of his wife, Esther.
Good.
Rene was sentenced to death, and his execution date was set to January 23rd, 1968.
Yeah, I get so used to the fact that we don't have a capital punishment that I forget that we had it at a time.
Well, guess what? 2 months later, on November 30th, 1967, Bill C-168 was passed. This created a 5-year moratorium on the use of the death penalty, except for murders of police and corrections officers. And this was done by Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson's Liberal government. Lester.
Well,
and I don't know why they called him Mike, which is interesting.
Yeah, no idea.
I think Rene Castellani must have had a horseshoe up his ass.
No kidding.
His death sentence was commuted to life, to be served at the New Westminster Pen in BC, also known as Ocala.
I grew up next to the, from when I was 10, where I lived, we grew up, it was like 2 blocks from the Pen, but it was shut down and we used to go play in it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We'll dedicate an episode to that in the future. There's some really interesting stories about the BC Pen that I've found.
There are.
Rene Castellani was paroled after only serving 12 years of his life sentence in 1979.
What?
Right? So you're sentenced to death, then it's commuted to life, and then you get out 12 years later.
I don't understand that. Like, if you're sentenced to death, like they're willing to put you, they're willing to kill you.
Yeah.
The government's willing to kill you.
Yep.
But, like, so at no point should they be like, you know what, actually, let's just let him go hang.
Let's just let him go.
Yeah, not actually hang. Like, I meant like hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, hang out. Yeah, not like hang by his...
Because that would be death.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
12 years.
Exactly. Both he and Lolly had gone their separate ways. They each ended up marrying different people. Rene Castellani didn't stay out for long because on January 4th, 1982, he died of cancer.
Well, at least there's karma.
I guess so. I couldn't find any real information about the Castellani's daughter, Janine. Only a few anecdotes stating that she grew up to be a kind and compassionate mother of two. And she was hurt by what her family had gone through all those years ago. Essentially, she lost both parents.
Yeah, like the poor girl. What a challenge to have to overcome in life.
Absolutely. I mentioned billionaire Jimmy Pattison earlier, and here's another example of what a small world it is. Again, a connection to the crime. The 90-year-old tiny billionaire known for his flashy sports coats. He's about like 5'2".
Oh, I've seen him once.
Yeah. He still works 5 days a week, coming in early every morning and riding the elevator with employees of a local telecom, pleasantly chatting them up as they go.
I've been one of those.
I have too, and that's what I'm saying. Up until the day this podcast is being published, I was working for that company.
Yep.
So I would ride the elevator often with Mr. Pattison. We had a lot of really interesting conversations.
Yeah, it's quite amazing for a man of his age and his wealth. You would think at some point you'd be like, I'm good. Let me just ride out the remaining years. But no, man, the guy still goes. He's an impressive individual.
Yeah, he's still working.
Yeah.
And he remembers your name, too. If you tell him once, he will remember your name, and he will call you by your name the next time he sees you.
Yeah, I told him my name was Susan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I've chatted with him many times, as I've said, but after learning about this case, I wanted to talk to him about it because I'm sure he would remember it.
Yeah, because if he's good with names.
Yep.
I'm sure he's even better with names of murderers.
Especially like selling all the cars on his lot.
Yeah.
He's the sales manager.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would very well remember that.
Totally.
However, I chickened out.
I think I would have too.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how he's going to respond to it.
Yeah, and if you have to be employed in the building and the billionaire in the building hates your guts, you're probably not going to work there anymore.
Assaulted by an 85-year-old.
Yeah.
Although, there's some money to be made there. But.
He doesn't look very hitty, though.
No, he doesn't. He's everything I've seen of him. He's a good man.
He's apparently not going to leave his wealth to his children.
Interesting. Who's he going to leave it to? A cat?
I don't know, but he doesn't. He thinks they need to earn their own money.
I've heard a lot of stories like that, and I quite respect that. If I was his kid, I'd probably not respect it.
Yeah, chintzy old bugger.
Yeah, but I can absolutely respect where he's coming from. So
yeah, sure.
But yeah, if I was his kid, I'd be right pissed.
Really pissed.
It's probably just like his way though to prevent his kids from murdering him. Because like if I kill dad, billions.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then suddenly it's like, if I kill dad, I get nothing.
People will kill somebody over a crack rock. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, billions. It's a pretty good stretch. Good job, Billy. Jimmy. Or Billy Pattison, I'll call him.
Whoever that is.
He thinks I'm Susan.
It's probably his brother. The Bomac sign where Rene spent those 8 days is still there. The Toys R Us logo has been kind of slapped over the Bomac sign. It looks friggin' hideous.
Yeah, it was quite a contentious topic at the time that was happening because the Bomac sign is a heritage piece, and so there was a lot of hate towards Toys R Us for one because they wanted to just take it down.
Yeah,
but they were told no, and so they just jerry rigged a Toys R Us sign.
It really looks bad.
Yeah.
You can Google it. Just Google Vancouver Bomac, BOWMAC sign, and you can see all the story about it. It's just like, oh my God, it just looks awful. Yeah. And it's like 80 feet high.
But what happens with Toys R Us now that they're going?
Well, guess what?
What?
Toys R Us is floundering, and the lease on the property is up June of this year.
Yeah. And
if the city doesn't try to save the sign again, it most likely will be demolished when a new developer gets their paws on it.
You know what they'll probably do, though, is what they did with the Woodward sign. They'll save the sign, but take it down. Either move it or if some, I don't think they can build high rises or anything in that location because of the view. But whatever, maybe something they do is constructed there, just like on the Woodward's building where they put the W at the roof, maybe something similar to that.
Yeah, I walked by the W the other day. They have it, They have a replica W on the roof. Oh. And the actual real W is down on the ground. You can actually walk up and touch it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a replica down.
Yep.
Or up there. Huh.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It would be expensive to refurbish the Bomac sign and bring it back to its former glory, so I don't think that's going to happen. And the property is worth $42 million that it sits on.
Jeez, it makes sense knowing the location, the area.
Yeah, so there's less of a chance of a savior swooping in to save the day. But it was Jimmy Pattison's sign, right? And he's a billionaire.
But if he was willing to, if it was almost going to be taken down 25 years ago or whenever the Toys R Us was put there, then, why now would he step up to save it? But it'll be interesting to see.
I have a feeling we will be saying goodbye to that sign.
Do you? I think it'll be kept somewhere.
You think?
Even if not like refurbished or something, they'll auction it off.
Maybe put it in Stanley Park.
Yeah. Or they'll auction it off.
Right on the end of the park.
And some private owner will have it in storage somewhere.
That's a lot to store.
Well, yeah, if you're buying a 60-foot sign, I'm assuming 80-foot sign, I'm assuming you got some loot and somewhere to store it.
I think I would have better things to do than buy a 80-foot stupid Bomac sign.
Well, so would I.
I'd have another McLaren, maybe.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sexy McLaren.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen.
No.
Next week, I'm off to CrimeCon in Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm going to get to meet a lot of cool people. I'm especially looking forward to meeting some of the other podcasters in person.
Yeah.
And we have some cool stuff planned. There's a meetup happening on Friday night and another one, I think, on Saturday. So there's going to be lots of meetups. But
that's awesome.
As well as going to learn about things. I think one of the main topics that everybody is going to be talking about at CrimeCon this year is the East Area Rapist and Original Night Stalker.
Oh, is this some new thing?
The Golden State Killer who was captured today.
Oh, I haven't heard anything about that.
Joseph D'Angelo, yes.
Yeah, I've heard everything about it.
Yes, we have. And so we'll talk a bit more about that on our after show, but I'm pretty certain that's going to be a topic that everybody is talking about there.
Absolutely.
So I have we're working on a bit of a surprise that's going to happen there too. Two other podcast hosts have asked me to participate in a show with them. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be about, but it will make sense when you hear it because it will definitely fit the Dark Poutine.
Oh, I'm excited. I have no idea either, so I'm excited.
I'll tell you off the
off
the mic for sure.
You damn right.
But I don't want to spoil it for the other guys, because I don't know what they have planned for sure.
Oh, it's exciting. Sounds exciting.
Yep. So stay tuned for that. I was a little nervous last week when a naked man wearing only a green jacket and an assault rifle entered the Waffle House in Nashville and killed 4 patrons who were eating waffles at the time.
Yeah, I could see why you'd be a bit concerned.
Yeah, he was still on the run Monday when the shooter, 29-year-old Travis Rainking, was taken into custody.
Yep.
And he looked, I saw a picture of him in the back of the police car. He looked rather worse for wear.
I didn't see the police car photo.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been thumped about.
Oh, wow.
He probably fell down.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, maybe
multiple times.
Maybe he bonked his head on a branch or two.
It could have been a number of things.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, he's being held without bond, so I think it should be okay if I want to go eat waffles.
So without James Bond? He's being held without James Bond?
So
why would
I have to explain Bond to you?
Why would they even...
It's bail, Scott.
Oh, James Bale.
Like a bale of hay.
What? That's even weirder.
You're not well.
That's even weirder.
I've never been anywhere in the U.S. that far south other than Florida, but that doesn't count because when we went there, it was full of snowbirds, and that's what people call Canadians who travel south for the winter.
Yeah, we have shitbirds and we have snowbirds.
Yes, exactly. So if anybody knows what to do in Nashville other than country music, please let me know. I'm sure there's lots of good things to eat there. I'm pretty certain I'll be having fried foods.
Oh, God, yes.
And so I might need 2 first-class plane tickets.
For coming back? Yeah.
For coming back.
Yeah.
For the size of me butt?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Oh, I'm jealous, though. Should be some good food.
I think it will be, definitely. So, I posted this afternoon for anybody who is not a Patreon patron already. I posted the entire press conference of the East Area Rapist stuff there today. So you don't even have to pay us to get it. I just recorded the whole press conference and I put it up there for anybody who missed it.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it's kind of
I didn't see it all. I watched a chunk of it, but not all of it.
Yeah. We have a bunch of new Patreon patrons. I think they felt sorry for us because last week I said I guess we suck because only Gary Smith pledged to us.
Well, let's do that again then. So only one.
We're terrible.
One. Actually, we lost.
But that would be a
lie.
That would be a huge lie.
I know.
So this week,
a lie for profit.
Kate Platt pledged to us, as well Carrie.
Kate and Carrie. Thank you. The C's.
And Vinnie Krieger. What a great name.
That is a really wicked name.
Vinnie Krieger.
Yeah.
It's like I'm Italian and I'm German.
Yeah. It's not, it's way cooler than Scott Hemingway.
Much.
Yeah.
Cassandra Case.
Oh. Hey, Cassandra.
Thanks, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Joe Balaneski, who we've interacted with on social media a few times.
Thanks, Joe.
Veronica Moreno, who is also a member of the Yumber Yard.
And hilarious.
Yes, very
and
much so.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. So thank you, Veronica. And Rhiannon Foley.
That's another great name.
Or Foley. Sorry, Foley.
Even,
like as in Mick Foley.
Still, even
Mankind.
Fantastic.
Are you related to Mankind? If you are, I would like to talk to him.
I think in every way, we're all related to Mankind. Get it?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, Mankind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Sometimes I struggle.
No, I don't.
Yes, so thank you very much to all our new Patreon patrons. Mm-hmm. You folks rock, and you sometimes perhaps even roll.
I'm sure that there's a lot of rocking and or
rolling. If you want to donate to us yourself and you don't do so already, you can at patreon.com/darkpoutine, or you can send us some donut money via PayPal at our email address, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com.
So just send us donuts.
Or donuts. I'd rather not get donuts in the mail, frankly.
Stickler.
Well, there's a Krispy Kreme right up the street.
This is true.
And those, when the hot light is on, those are amazing donuts. Yeah. Or Timmy's.
Yeah. Sure.
We go to Timmy's a lot, though.
Yeah.
Check out our website, www.darkpoutine.com, for show notes and other cool stuff. I'll have lots of links to things from today.
Yep.
And you can even look at White Spot and see how much a White Spot milkshake is.
And they really are good. I'm sure that they no longer contain arsenic.
I don't think they ever contained arsenic directly from the White Spot. They had to do with Mr. Rene Castellani.
Okay, well,
putting the poison.
They're delicious, and he's dead,
ortho.
So he won't be able to put it in your milkshakes.
Exactly.
So go get them; they're really good.
Actually, if you want to see one of the milkshake cups that he used and the Triox Ortho, it's in the police museum.
Oh, sweet!
Yeah, yeah. They have a display in the police museum here in Vancouver. Cool. Yep. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Dark Poutine and tell your friends. Somebody said I should pronounce poutine like a maritimer. And I'm thinking, which brand of maritimer? Is it like the Newfoundland, like dark poutine? Okay. Dark poutine.
Well, that sounds right to me.
Or I could go the Lunenburg County way.
Oh.
Which is where I'm from.
Yeah, well then do that.
And it would be dark poutine.
There you go.
I got some of that there. And dark poutine.
Sounds very it's like Cajun, Louisiana.
Well, it is kinda.
Yeah.
Cajuns are Acadians from Nova Scotia.
Wait a minute.
Did you know this?
I did not know this.
Well, how about them apples?
Wow. Yep.
So that's how it works.
The reality I knew is no longer.
Now shattered.
It's shattered.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Scott's going to have to go contemplate his life.
Everything.
Also fun is our Facebook group, as we mentioned, the Yumber Yard. Come there, answer some simple questions like, what's my name? What's Mike's name? What's Scott's name?
And don't give it away.
Are you a good egg?
Or a bad apple?
There's no wrong answers.
to tell you the truth. I'd like to see some creative answers.
So
There
would I.
was that one that it was like, what are the hosts' names? And the person said, Scott Hemingway and the guy who picks on him every week.
But this is how we like it.
Right. You wouldn't know what to do if I didn't harass you.
I'll sure feel good about myself.
Well, I can't let that happen.
Yeah, don't let it happen.
You can subscribe to us on your favorite podcast directory like iTunes Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and at our host, Podbean. We're still getting those iTunes reviews, and that asshole from Florida has left that 2-star review there for me to fume at.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to. You need something to fume at.
I guess we had to have one troll.
Yeah.
So there we go. Stay tuned for the after show where we will be talking a little bit about Toronto and what happened there in the past week.
And a whole lot of bit about.
And a whole lot about the Golden State Killer.
That's right.
Wow.
Ear-ons.
Exactly. So don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
That's right. Toodaloo, everybody.
Loodle twos.